present circumstances is likely to be influenced, if not taken over, by more radical groups. And that would be, India could never accept that, even if it wanted to. And of course, the Pakistanis would find that, find that damaging to Pakistan's integrity. So I think the Indians have to find Indians working with moderate Pakistanis in a way of, in a sense, putting the Kashmir issue on the shelf 5, 10, 15 years. And in a sense, as one Pakistani general told me, he said, we need a face-saving device on Kashmir. We need to get out of it gracefully. Now, of course, the one thing that an angry Indian will not give is a face-saving device. If I were an Indian, I would not want to, in a sense, make the Pakistanis happy by offering face-saving devices. So I think it's an intractable situation. I don't see any likely outcome. Clearly, India is never going to give up what it has. The line of control seems to be a feasible arrangement. But again, how do you get to that point from here? I don't think that America should jump in and say this is the way to do it. But I do think that India itself has to think through the issues, has to talk to China about this, because the Chinese actually have physical and legal possession of part of Kashmir. It's not simply an India-Pakistan issue. It also involves China. And of course, the Kashmiris themselves should have a say in this. So I think that the debate that's going on in India now must continue. But frankly, if you solve the Kashmir issue tomorrow, that would not change Pakistan at all. Kashmir is not the only issue that Pakistanis are worried about. It is an issue, but there's more radical elements in Kashmir, in Pakistan, that not only want to seize Kashmir and radicalize it, but would like to foment a revolution in India. Some of the more radical groups have an all South Asia agenda. So I think that's a mortal threat to India. It's a mortal threat to Pakistan. And you have to work with those Pakistanis who agree with you on that issue.
It's actually 1986 in the Indian Parliament when our Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was told that he was soft on Pakistan, and they told him much the same lines, that we will give Kashmir to Pakistan. Then he quipped, yes, I'll give it in the morning and take the whole of Pakistan in the afternoon.
See, the one thing an Indian politician would not want would be another 150 million Muslims in India. It would sort of change the balance of power here.
Well, going on to a slightly different wicket, we have Professor Sanjay Dhande, the director of IIT Kanpur, asking, how do you think American universities and Indian universities, IITs, IIMs, should establish collaborative, sustainable relationships? Between American and Indian universities and IITs, one side the American universities and other side.
I'm not an expert in this, but I taught at the University of Illinois for 35 years, and that's why I actually learned to appreciate engineers, because they were the only people on campus who knew how to get anything done. They were very effective on campus. And of course, Illinois has one of the world's great engineering programs. But I think that the problem seems to be in India, not in America. The legal and political aspects here. I know that in Brookings, I've received visits all the time from American university representatives, deans, and presidents who want to do a program in India. And they have a terrible time doing it. Very, very difficult to establish a program here. There's all kinds of obstacles, and I don't know the details, but I think the problem is mostly here. But I think that if India were to liberalize its educational policy, it would benefit. It already trains a number of people from non-Western countries. Its capabilities would be enhanced.
Mr. Krishnamurthy, IIT Madras, 1983. Why did it take an event like Mumbai attack for the US to realize the elements operating from Pakistan? India has been talking about this for the last 10 years or even more.
Well, that's a good point, and I asked that myself. I think partly the Indian government was not persuasive. Partly the evidence has always been mixed, ambiguous. Partly the Pakistanis have always argued that India has to move on Kashmir, but that doesn't justify Mumbai or any terrorism anywhere. But I think we have learned in Afghanistan that the Pakistanis were simply sort of looking the other way with regard to the Taliban. There's two kinds of Taliban. There's the Taliban who operated in Afghanistan, and the Taliban who are operating in Pakistan. The Pakistan army is more worried about the latter group. They're trying to deal with the Pakistan Taliban. But they still pursue a policy of see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, the Teen Bandar, regarding the Afghan Taliban. And that was their view towards the Lashkar-e-Taiba and other groups. So I think that when it became so vivid and evident, and many Americans had stayed in the Taj, Americans were singled out, apparently, by some of the group to be killed. I think that was more persuasive. In a sense, that's why the Lashkar-e-Taiba, whoever was responsible, actually did more to help India's case than anything else. So I think that they overreached themselves. And just as 9/11 forced us to take Al-Qaeda seriously, the Bombay killings forced us to take Lashkar-e-Taiba more seriously, if they're the group that did it. My view has always been that this could be a coalition of groups. Could have some Al-Qaeda in it, could have some Lashkar-e-Taiba, could have some Indian partners in this. We're not quite clear yet exactly who masterminded it and who did it. We will find out in the next couple of months, I think.
Dr. Cohen, this will be the last question for you. It's Mr. Shrikant Joshi, IIT Bombay, 1979 batch, taking a quotation from Henry Kissinger, who is supposed to have said, "To be an enemy of USA is dangerous, but to be a friend of the US is certainly fatal."
Yeah.
Can you comment on that?
Yeah. You know, before I finish, let me say that if you want to email me directly, no problem. Cohen@brookings.edu. And my talk will be, the regional version of it will be online. I guess you'll put it online right after this, so just drop me an email. That's no problem in responding. You know, there's an old joke which I've modified that I'll put it in the Indian context. A conference on America here involves the people who can do nothing collectively deciding that nothing can be done, but that the Americans are at fault. That is, people who can do nothing collectively decide that nothing can be done, but we can blame the Americans. Now, that's not true anymore. In fact, the new India is, I think, more realistic, more objective, understands America's virtues, its problems. We have done a lot of damage to Indian strategy and Indian foreign policy over the years by supporting Pakistan. But we did that in our own interest. India has pursued policies which we found to be hostile against American interests. But I think that there's a greater convergence about where our strategic interests are. And so I think that the anti-Indian group has evaporated in America, and I think the anti-American group is sitting in the coffee houses grumbling and complaining.
Okay. Thanks, Stephen, for patience of answering all questions on the different aspect. Of course, I was going through a rapid reading course here. I just couldn't read 100 questions, let me be honest. So my request, Stephen, to you is, given the kind of questions that we have received, almost 100, as I said, our volunteers are going to summarize these questions, okay, put them in context, and would send you, and I would appreciate if you could reply, and we can pass it on, if we can, to the questioners. I don't know what Santanam has a plan, but basically we will expect at least for you to respond and give answers, and maybe we can put it on website or...
No, if you boil them down to say 6 or 8 questions, be happy to do that. Be good.
Yeah. So we really appreciate your responses, your speech, and your ability to answer questions from hot pursuit Kashmir to Kissinger. So thanks for that. And we appreciate your contribution to this event with your thoughtful perspectives. Thank you.